Okay, what's up, folks? This is Casper, and I'm in this WCOOP thing. I got surprised by this morning. This was an early start to a tournament. I basically just woke up, spent like half an hour doing some stuff, and then was like, oh, I wonder what kind of warm up tournament I'll play today. And then I thought, oh, isn't the WCOOP going on? I should probably check that out. And then sure enough, it was already going for like 45 minutes or something. And so I played a satellite for 75 cents and I won a seat. And so I got in on a 75-cent satellite, and here I am, reasonably deep, not in the money yet or anything, but sitting with over 100 big blinds and, not a ton of threats at my table except for this guy to my left. So I'll show you a couple of the hands here because one just occurred the last hand before break where I semi bluff shoved, trying to get somebody off an ace. Here, I'll try to find that. You'll see that this guy, Vincenz Dave, he had 200,000 when I registered for the tournament at the 300 600 level, and he basically just like slid his way down, basically flipping his way down. He called a lot of all ins and lost many of them. So anyway, I call a raise with Queen Jack. Flop comes Ace Jack 3, two hearts, and I thought Vincenz Dave a lot of the time, when he leads out on a bluff, I've been calling them a lot, and then he gives up on the turn. However, that has happened most of the time when I was out of position. So I was a little unsure of where I was going to go with this hand. It obviously depended heavily on what the big blind did with his 22,000. I was probably going to fold to a check shove there, but I end up calling, and the turn's a heart. And at this point, I'm thinking this is a great spot for me to get him off an ace, potentially. So if he leads out again, I feel like it's confirmation that he probably has an ace. My guess would be something around a 10 kicker ish. And as long as he doesn't have the king of hearts, there's a good chance that he's going to fold if I jam it and facing a bet. And so he bets half pot, which was an amount that I had seen him bluff a lot. He was frequently bluffing half pot. And so I decided, okay, this is the perfect moment. I'm going to jam it. And, hopefully he folds and I win a pretty good pot and get myself up to 132. Instead, he very quickly calls it off, and I'm like, oh, I'm doomed. Nope, turns out he has a worse jack and no heart. And so I just hold with a bigger jack and win a pot of 100 big blinds to get myself up to 180. And since then, it's been pretty calm. But what I mainly want to show here is a period earlier where I was so terrified that something was going to go wrong. Check this out. So it started with me calling a raise in the small blind, a min raise, and flopping a 10, leading out and winning the pot. Next, I opened with Jack 10 and won the pot, and then three hands in a row. Look at these monsters. I get kings, raise and take it, nines, raise and take it, ace king, raise and take it, and then this ace king was a little different. I raised, got called, c-bet the flop on a really safe looking flop. Got called, turns a little bit sketchy, slowed down a bit, and decided to bluff catch at this point. And the guy took like half an hour to fucking lead out for 12,000. I called intending to probably call again on a safe river. And the river was indeed safe, so I checked to set up a bluff, but he didn't do it. And long story short, it turns out he had ace 10. He was bluffing. So I feel fortunate to have gotten away with that stretch of hands because I just felt more and more every hand that I raised, I felt like I was going to get played back at, especially these three right here, right? I continued raising both of these ace kings because I thought by that point somebody would be sick of me. There were a lot of short stacks at the table, and I thought, okay, this is a spot where ace jack suited might just three bet shove, and I'll be in a 70-30 for a good chunk of change. That ended up not happening. I just basically won small pots. And other than that, it's been pretty tight. I haven't done much. I bluff catched a couple times. You'll see my stats, which are 100% accurate. I haven't played any hands on the phone. I've only seen 25% of the flops, so I've been playing pretty tight, I think. And, looking to continue a slow and steady grind. You'll see my chip graph right here. It was a bit of a dodgy start, but I was able to get it back. I've been all in twice so far in this tournament. Once with queens against ace 4 before the flop, and another time with aces against ace 8 on a ace queen 7 flop, where the guy turned a backdoor flush draw. It was really sketchy, but I ended up holding. So I've been all in twice, got 178,000 at the 816 level. I'm not going to be recording the whole way. I just wanted to give a quick update here just in case I do go deep. And if I do, get into the money a little bit deeper, then I'll start recording again and do another update. And I'm in for 75 cents, and, there's a ridiculous amount up top. Even though it's a super huge crapshoot, I don't, I have like no expectations in this tournament basically. But if things happen to go well, then could be a spot where I could build my bankroll up at a really critical time in my challenge. So, yeah, that's it. Wish me luck. All right, so something pretty gross just happened to me. I figured I'd run through it. Give me a second here, actually. So, folds to me with king, queen of diamonds in late position. I open, pretty standard. Get re-raised, and at this point I figure my king, queen's probably no good. So I have to wait for like a scary flop or something to improve where I can have a convincing story. If I just 3-bet jam right now, I feel like I'm getting called. So it folds to me, and I do call, and sure enough, the flop comes 2 diamonds. And at this point, I'm thinking, if he has a pocket pair under jacks, or jacks or less, rather, I love my position, regardless of whether or not we get it in. And so I check, hoping that he doesn't completely shove it. I'm hoping he bets something like 25,000 or less, ideally 15,000, some kind of standard C bet. And sure enough, he bets exactly that, 14,790. And I'm like, perfect. If this guy has 2 sixes or something, or whatever, ace 10, a lot of hands that can be folded here. Ace king, even. Like, there's so many things that would fold because my check raise here looks super strong. And so I jam it, I bet the rest, and he tanks for quite a while and eventually calls with ace queen. He just calls it off with ace queen high, and it bricks. So I don't hit a king, I don't hit the diamond despite having 12 outs, despite this guy making what is, in my opinion, is not a good read. I'm pretty sure this was like basically him giving up. He ended up calling, and I was left with 35,000. But then a few hands later, I open jammed with ace 10. It got caught severely with ace queen, and flopped to 10. Really scary turn card, but I ended up holding. And so I doubled up to 70,000 and won a couple pots since then. So I'm at 90,000. We're approaching the money here. I really don't like my chip position all that much. But these are 15-minute levels, so having 30 big blinds is really not the end of the world. In this tournament, you really can't blind out. I mean, I've noticed that there's a lot of shoving going on, first of all. This table is becoming very dangerous, as you can see in this particular hand. There's a lot of re-raising at this point. And, it's becoming a lot more of a guessing game than a post-flop game. So that doesn't favor me very well at all, so I'm not sure how I feel about my chances of even making the money at this point. Let's root this hand, actually. This is pretty sick situation. Rodri Diaz just got 100,000 in before the flop with pocket sixes, which was about 96% of his total chips. So he was basically all in with 2 sixes a few hands ago. And here he is over jamming Jack 6-7. So you can see it's getting pretty sporty in here. I guess we'll stick around for one more hand. There's a break after this hand, so I'm not super keen on getting involved. I kind of hope Chrysosa does something, but he doesn't. I don't like this situation so far, but it's a strong enough hand in position. It'd be gross if the big blind squeezed, but he doesn't. So yeah, I'm just gonna give up. I don't want to get involved right before the break, close to the money. I've been playing pretty tight. Anyway, you can see my chip graph here has taken a few stumbles. Not quite the rip up that it was around here. My peak appears to be like 190 or something, I think. And, I've just been falling, and then this is that king queen against ace queen hand, followed shortly thereafter by the ace 10 against ace queen. So since then, haven't really done much, just kind of sticking around, playing pretty tight and trying to conserve chips and, pick my spots as best as I can. All right, so it looks like I'm safe. We're just about to make the money here, one hand away basically. And I have about 20 big blinds coming in. So we'll see how it goes from here. I'm really happy to have gained a return on my 75-cent investment. So I'm up over 1,000% on that investment, and I'm happy with that. I did play a lot tighter than usual to get to the money, mainly because of the time investment. This is a very slow tournament, and I've been in for like 2.5 hours or more. And usually that's an amount of time that gets me to a final table. You can see that, there's 2,287 places paid. That's about 6 times the normal field size for me. So, 12 minutes to start were the blinds up here. And then at 6 and 1200, it became 15-minute levels, and it's going to stay that way, I believe, until the final table. So it's a really slow tournament. I'm happy to have made the money. And I'm not exactly looking to gamble from this point forward, but I'm definitely going to be taking some chances if given an opportunity to steal. So yeah, that's a quick little update, and I'll get back to you later on in the tournament if anything cool happens or if I happen to bust. All right, time for another little update here. I got up to close to 50 big blinds without being all in, so I'm super happy about that. I had to make a move to get there, though, against Rodri Diaz over here. I check raised a king 8 flop with 10-5 no flush draw. So complete bluff, check raise bluff. And made one other move. And then just recently, a few hands ago, I got it in with king jack right here. I 3-bet shoved to basically establish image / steal. And so you can see the button opens for min, and I jam it with king jack, and he decided to call it off with king 10, and the board bricked out. So I won a really big pot there. That was great. And now up to 240 something. So, starting to look a little bit good. It's still a long grind, but I feel better about it now than I did when we made the money. So get a load of this. I just stacked a guy with 8s against 7s and chipped up a bit more. But get a load of this hand, okay? I decided to play it kind of close to the vest. This is a hand I would normally, maybe try to open with and have it be disguised. And I decided, you know what, I'm just going to fold. So you can see there's an open, a call, a squeeze, a snap reshove, an insta reshove, or a call all in rather. And then the big stack on the button, who I already saw gamble very loosely in the past, decides to call with jack 10. And once we see the hands revealed, ace king against 5s against jack 10, and the board runs out, boom, jack 10 scoops everything and busts 3 players in one hand, which is pretty crazy. And then the next hand was pretty straightforward. I just opened under the gun, small amount with 8s. And thankfully for me, the person who shoved was not a hard decision. I called very quickly with my 8s, and the guy had 7s, and the board bricked out. So up to 300,000 now, 63 big blinds-ish. And yeah, feeling pretty good. There's a couple of new players at the table, so I'm going to have to kind of slow down and, study them a little bit, try to develop some reads. There's only one guy at the table left with any notes. A few minutes ago, I had notes on everybody at the table. But, now there's a bunch of new players. So going to reset a little bit, definitely trying to play tight and just grind my way through it and take advantage of the fact that the blinds are really slow. All right, another quick little update here, and this one's really important long-term in my opinion for establishing an image among these new players. You can see I opened very small with ace-queen, got shoved on, and my intention was immediately to call if nobody gets in the way. Folds back to me and I call. Guy's got ace-10 of hearts, and the flop is sketchy as hell. He not only has a 10, but now he has a bunch of hearts. And thankfully the board bricked out and I picked up a good one. So I think that this pot was super critical in that it showed people that my 11K opens are not necessarily weak. I probably have intent to call or intent to get chips in, and I think that's going to work for me, maybe let me loosen up a little bit. especially given that I'm up to 80 big blinds now. So I do have a little bit of room to play and make a few more moves. So we'll see how that goes. I guess we'll stick around for this hand, see what happens. I obviously, I'm probably sticking to this the whole way, to be honest, so far. There are a decent amount of hands that could get crafty. Okay, I guess not. So up to, 84 big blinds. Can't complain. There's still a long way to go, but I'm feeling good, and I'm about to get another pay bump if I can survive 43 more eliminations, which seems pretty likely. So up to second place at the table, although it's a very narrow second place. It's pretty deep stack poker at this table so far. And by the way, I have not moved tables since the beginning of the tournament. I am the sole remaining survivor from my original table, and I'm even the sole survivor from just before the money. It's only me and Rodri Diaz who are still around from just before the money. So that kind of tells the story of there's been a lot of jamming and rejamming. So while I intend to avoid that as much as possible and chip up kind of safely, needless to say, I do feel pretty good about my chip position right now. You know what's funny too? Quick little note here. It looks like I'm super deep in this tournament, but the reality of the situation is I only have like 16 and a half times my starting stack, which it feels weird to be halfway through the money almost with 16 times my starting stack and actually be super comfortable. But anyway, I'll get back to you later. All right, so I just got moved tables, but before that happened, had something cool happen here. With Ace 8, I called a raise, as you can see. Ace 8 off suit, hoping to get position, which I did. And flop comes 7-4-5, and I figured that's pretty strong. I'm basically calling to bluff catch at this point. I didn't really think he hit that. And what I'm more than anything trying to do here is set up a bluff on the turn. If he bets, I'm going to call, and then I'm going to probably make a move on the turn. So he does bet 32,000. I call, intending to make a move on the turn. However, the turn gives me a straight, which was plan B, and so I actually don't have to bluff. But then he suddenly leads out for 48,000, and I thought, okay, I guess there's a possibility that this guy actually hit this. He could have a set, he could have maybe ace 7 of diamonds, something like that. And so I decided to go for it all, and I raised the rest of his stack. He called and was drawing completely dead to a chop with my favorite hand, 5-3 of spades. So picked up a nice 500k pot there and got up to 650. And then my first hand at this table, I raised with king queen and got shoved on by a guy with 50,000. I called and I lost a 60-40 with my king queen against ace deuce. So up to around 600,000 right now, which is still pretty comfortable. It's about 75 big blinds. And we're getting a little bit deeper in the money. Not really anything to get excited about in terms of payouts, but every little bit helps. So going to keep on trucking. All right, so there's another break coming in 2 minutes or 1 minute, and you can see I'm at 766. Here's a look at my chip graph. I bounced off the average there pretty nicely, and have been chipping up ever since. Very slowly, nothing really cool to report. Mainly what I've been doing so far at this new table is trying to get a read on people, first of all, staying out of the action. And when I have been involved, I've generally been bluff catching and just trying to give people rope to hang themselves when I have pairs that are likely to be good. And so far, they've all been good. So really not getting in trouble, not really getting involved in anything big so far. And apparently I have the chip lead at this table by a very small margin. But there are some really active players at this table, most notably Oscar Lexound, who came in with the chip lead not long ago and has been barreling, 3-betting relentlessly, being really kind of loose and aggressive. So right now I'm trying to just be invisible to the rest of the table, trying to build a tight image that I can hopefully take advantage of at some point if the cards dry up on me and if I see the right spot. And, more than anything, just trying to stay alive. So that's it for now. I'll get back to you in a bit. Okay, so I forgot to update it at the time, but you can see that I busted 554th in event number 2. I basically, nothing cool happened. I basically just went from 300,000 to about 700, or sorry, 700,000 to 350,000 at the 714 level, 7,000, 14,000. And I was faced with a decision of, do I want to fold King Jack suited and try to squeeze my way into $3.20 of a pay bump, or do I want to squeeze an open raise and a call from two loose players? And I decided to go with the squeeze. It was an open to 28,000 and a call from the table chip leader, who was a bit of a maniac. And I decided to squeeze all in for 340,000 or so. And I ended up getting called. The maniac chip leader ended up having ace queen, which was a bit surprising. I would have thought he would 3-bet a hand like that. I was mostly expecting to pick it up and just win a small pot. And worst case scenario, probably about the situation that I had. So I failed to hit. I did pick up a double gut shot on the turn. So I had 13 outs with one card to come, but I was unable to hit. So you can see I finished 554th, picked up 1704, which is pretty shitty overall if I had bought in directly for 550. But as I mentioned earlier, I did get in for a 75-cent satellite, and that gives me a total ROI on this event of over 2,100%. So I've started this little document here to keep track of my results in the WCOOP, because personally I think I'm a big loser in a tournament series like this. I don't think I'm a winning player, and so I wanted to make sure, I wanted to remove all of the doubt to see whether or not that's actually true in this particular series. So far I'm up pretty huge. I've invested only 75 cents and I got 1704 back. So my net P&L right now is 1629, which gives me a few options. It gives me a couple of buy-ins before I'm going to be red again. So I'm not sure what I'm going to play next, but I'll do updates of this type where I don't really show much and just update you every now and then, because it's less work for me on the editing side. So anyway, that's it for this video. First tournament that I play in the series, and I got 1 cash. And as a result, my bankroll is now just under $300 of active bankroll. Of course, I also have 119 Canadian behind. So today is Saturday, and the next reporting period for my challenge is this coming Monday, which gives me about 48 hours before the reporting period. So I'm definitely looking to play pretty actively this weekend and hopefully run my bankroll up a little bit further, so that if John reports that he went broke throughout this week, then my payout for winning the challenge is going to be a little bit higher. And then, of course, if he didn't go broke and he chipped up, then I have at least a little bit more cushion to work with, and I probably won't have to extend my risk level. But in any case, that's it for this video.